Hello and welcome to Rainbows Rising. This is Rainbow Raaja, and I have a very special episode for you all today. I have invited Tracee Dunsblazier on today to talk about her new book, Karma, and she'll tell you a little bit more about the title and what that's all about. I just want to do a quick, there it is. Conquer your karmic relationships. Conquer your karmic relationship. Wow, that's a cool title. That's an awesome title.
Yes.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to write a book about karma.
Well, I'm a certified grief counselor, but I'm a spiritualist. I was born psychic and empathic, and have always had a very deeply intense spiritual life with a lot of past life history, and grew up feeling very separated from my human family in a lot of ways, because I had this inner life that was very hard to communicate to other people. And I also had a sense that I shouldn't tell people about all these things that were happening with me, to me, and in my memory. So I moved to New York and had a profound, many spiritual experiences there. And spirit taught me. I felt like my guides, the creator, took me and showed me the path, every step of the way. And so when I finally moved to LA, I'd started a healing process, but I really indulged completely, fully in the healing process, in addition to beginning to help other people heal in doing past life work and dealing with other worldly entities, guides, but also addressing the whole idea of the realm of the demonic realm, and helping people deal with malignant and maligned entities, and better understand about how to deal with the spiritual world and how it's all about boundaries. So anyway, that's what led.
Some powerful work. I know it takes a really courageous spirit to be able to take that on like consciously and with intent, as man, that's that can be some dangerous work, right?
Well, and I think, I want to say yes to that, but the danger in it, what is dangerous about it is what is the thing that helps you to cultivate courage and to set firm, clear, unequivocal boundaries.
That's something all empaths really struggle with, though, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's when I started writing the Demonslayer's Handbook series, which I'll show you. I actually now, the final book, which is the Conquer Your Karmic Relationships, that's finally out. And so it's a series of 3, and you can now buy the whole series together.
Oh, it's a trilogy.
It's a trilogy. Yes, it is.
Wonderful.
So I'm very excited to offer for the first time the trilogy together. That you can. These are the kind of books, and I know you've read them. So hello, who is that?
That's my kitty Q. She's my little magic cat. Like anytime I'm doing work, she finds me.
Love her.
And yeah, she actually helped with your healing session earlier. I don't know if you got it or not, but
no, I definitely. I was going to take a nap, and then I had so much energy I didn't have to take a nap. So it was great.
Glad to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. So back to your book series. I have read the first 2, and something I really admire about your series, I've read a lot of these self-help, these spiritual guidance books, and you do this practice and it'll help you in this area, is a lot of people take the very safe route. They don't talk about any triggering topics. They don't talk about anything that might pretty much put their book on the lower shelves, if you know what I mean. And yeah. You really, you take on, you share some really deeply personal parts of your life. And I find that extremely courageous. Oh man, now my empath stuff is happening. I'm all crying now. Oh, darn it. But yeah, like reading your book, I mean, I've had a lot of similar experiences, and it was so humbling to hear that somebody that I look up to and that I admire has faced the same experiences, and that demons don't always come in the shadows of the night, and that demons can be in people we thought we trusted, and in you know, I mean, I've even run into them in dream states and had them come through that way. And it was very humbling to read your very raw expression of your life experience.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, I didn't write these books until both of my parents were dead. That was not a plan. But I realized after my mom passed that there was no way I could have written that while she was still living, because I mean, and not that she would have read the book, and not that she wouldn't have understood, or none of those things. She and I had a wonderful relationship. But when you talk about having, like, it was a lot to reveal, and it was certainly a lot to reveal to people who know me. And it's certain, I think anytime you are a writer or an artist in any way, you do have to overcome the experience of being seen. And but it was more important to me to be as deeply upfront and revealing as possible as to how things happen and how I experienced them and how others related to me in that process. Because there are so many people. I mean, after I wrote the first book, I got numerous letters, people telling me that they didn't, that they're 40 years old and this has been happening to them their whole life and they never could tell anybody, and there's so many people that we have to have a voice. It's okay if people out there don't understand spirituality or the spiritual dimensions and the lower spiritual dimensions. It's okay that people don't believe in that. It's okay that people don't understand it, but there are millions of people who do, and more than any other time on the planet. So there's a new book out. I can't remember the author. She's a famous popular author. It's a fiction title, but her title is All the Devils Are Here. And there are no truer words. All the devils are here right now. They have all come back. And there is a spiritual battle that people are fighting whether or not they know it. And it will affect everyone in some way, regardless of your belief system. It can affect you and will influence you on some level, whether it's through somebody you know, somebody you love, somebody you cross paths with. So in my book, the more you know, the better you are.
The stronger you are. Yeah. And that was actually one of the, I've been, I guess, awakened to my abilities for a very long time. I got initiated by spirit when I was like 4. Not a fun experience. It is a very hard path. But when I was a teenager, the consensus of adults in my life told me that I had some deep psychological issues. And they were treating these issues from the time I was 10 until I was in my early 20s. And that's 10 whole years of me trying every medication, every combination. I was doing everything in my power. And I had a boyfriend at one point who was like, did you know it's not actually you? You've got all these like creatures around you. And he was not a spiritual person, but this is something he kept secret. And he was like, you have like literally 40 of these things around you all the time. But when I'm around, they're not here because I can see them. But when I'm not around, they come out. Or if you're interacting with your family, they come out. And when he told me this, I started like, that's creepy. Like, I don't believe you. And then I started noticing that thoughts were in different voices in my head. And I was like, that's really weird. I didn't notice that before. I thought it was my voice all this time. And then I started like kind of creating like a pretend bubble of light. And they stopped coming around. And I had silence for the first time in my whole life. Yes. And I never wanted to go back. And I can tell you that when I was reading your book and I realized like I never really took it to heart. I just kind of was like, oh yeah, I did this bubble and it worked. But really, you do have all the power. You say, I'm not allowing you in anymore. Goodbye. And the minute that you are aware and you admit there's a problem and that all this time you've been letting them do this to you, that's when you can really heal. That's when you can really stop the activity. It's incredible how powerful just that can be.
Yeah. Staking your claim and claiming your space, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I call that being multi-spirited, and I think there are a lot of people today who are coming in multi-spirited, whether or not it's literally multiple spirits in their soul, or Klingons, or hauntings, attachment. I have a client who's highly empathic, and every time she comes, once a month, and every time she's got a new Klingon that wasn't there last time. They literally know she's coming here, and so they they jump on and come for the ride so that they can be
Free.
Yeah, exactly.
And just not even a couple of days ago, I was in Mount Shasta. I was there for a healing retreat that this woman that did a light language activation totally opened me up to, working with my past lives and my guides, like directly one-on-one. I met this guy, and he had some buddies, and I was like, no, we're not doing this. And I had actually picked up this interesting Tibetan knife with like a spirit guide. I call him Juan, but I don't know what his actual, that's what I heard when I asked his name. And I put it on his chest, and the guys that were attached to this guy were so happy. Like, he claimed these were horrible things, but the minute I called in, the angels were like, hey, come on in. I love these little dark beings. Let's take them home. They were so excited because they don't want to be here. They're like, hello, yes, I've been seen, I've been heard, I'm going home.
Exactly. Yeah, 90% of the time it is a situation like that where an interdimensional being has gotten stuck in a dimension that they can't get themselves out of, and so
angry because they're trapped.
Right. Absolutely. So it just takes our intent, our force, our commitment to create that bridge for them to go back to where they came from.
Yeah, so I know you covered a lot of that in your first book, is like walking through the world and kind of, running into these beings in the third dimensional plane. Your second book is about carrying them over from your past life, or carrying the wounds over from your past life. So how does Karmic Relationships tie in with this demon slaying theme you have going on? Because I mean, that's an interesting tie-in you have there.
Right. Yeah, to me, it's all interconnected, because all of our influences, anything that influences on us on any level, whether it's past life or present life, it's what will create our future life. It creates a pattern, and that pattern has a vibration, and that vibration is what makes our brain work the way that it does. And so it gives understanding those patterns, and that's what I call karma. Karma is the Sanskrit word that means cause and effect, essentially. It's like for every action that you take, there's an equal response from the universe for that action. It doesn't mean punishment or reward. It doesn't mean that you go and do something bad's going to happen to you. What it means is if you do something bad to someone, you at some point are going to understand on every level what you did, why you did it, and the impact it had on them. And you're going to feel all of it. Maybe that's through the same bad thing happening to you, or maybe it's through you witnessing somebody going through the depth of what you caused them and being conscious in that process. People oftentimes do bad things because they are not conscious. They are not empathic. They do not have the ability or want to have the ability, or they tune out the influence or the impact that they have on others, and especially when it comes to causing them pain. So karma essentially says that eventually you will know. Eventually you will know all things. So
I may sound really horrible for saying this, but I get such deep like satisfaction and gratification knowing that there's a force out there that does all of the revenge for me. I don't have to rely on wanting to
Yes.
enact revenge on people.
No, that's
And
well, and to be clear, because the only revenge that happens is from a person's guilt.
mm,
So karma doesn't dictate revenge, but karma dictates that in your ascension, in your evolution of realization, knowing yourself, knowing the interdimensional world, the more you desire to understand and be accountable for all that you've created. And that's, revenge. we think of revenge, and I know when we get upset, when we get angry, and we want to blame somebody, that's one of the things I talk about in Conquer Your Karmic Relationships, is about blame. We when you have a karmic pattern happening, it's easy to feel victimized. It's easy to feel like it's all happening to you and not for you. And in that perspective of it's happening to you, the process of feeling like it's happening to you brings you into the illumination that it's actually happening for you. The more deeply you look into things, the more you understand what is happening, the more you can recognize, oh, this is happening for me, so I can make a new choice. I can either continue in this way, or I can do this and get this other result. Right? It's never meant for you as a punishment for you to suffer what someone else has suffered. It's meant for you to go, oh, okay, this way of thinking about, like, we'll take money, for example. Right, I'm going to be doing a podcast myself. I do a Friday noon on my Facebook Live, and I think I'm going to talk about money and how that is a karmic relationship. Everybody is born with a specific relationship to money, and money is a currency. It is an energy, and when you see it as something that is beautiful and flowing and giving and limitless, then that's how it begins to manifest in your life. If you see it as something that you need to survive, that you can't live without, right? However you perceive or relate to money is how it is going to manifest in your life. And those are built on the karmic patterns that we have, that we bring in spiritually when we're born, and then how they're nurtured by the family that we live with, your parents, their relationship to money, how they teach you about money, right? And then whatever your relationship, people who have lost parents early in life have a completely, unless you have a lot of money, losing a parent at a very early age usually makes a huge shift in the money. And so it gives you a different perspective. So when we talk about karma, somebody who has a lot of money doesn't necessarily need to be poor to be more conscious about money. Although what most often will happen is they will spend many lifetimes on the spectrum of wealth and prosperity, so that they can have a deeper understanding of a value system that we have that has nothing to do with money, right? So in Conquer Your Karmic Relationships, that's one of the main karmic relationships. We have a karmic relationship to food and money. We have a karmic relationship to our loved ones, our family, and our ancestors. We have a karmic relationship to fear, hate, authority, and death. And then we have a karmic relationship to our sexuality and our creativity and the creator, right? Those are all those. And then of course, there's a whole chapter on romantic and platonic relationships, because love is one of the main currencies. How we express love is karmic for each of us. We come in with a pattern, and then that pattern is nurtured and attracts more of or less of certain things based on where we start. So that's the tie-in. is the pattern that begins and reverberates. And the more conscious you become of it, the more power you have over it to make changes or accept and commit.
So, speaking of all of these patterns, like something that really stands out, just talking in regards to like sensitive people, intuitive people, psychic people, I've noticed this pattern through my entire, pretty much conscious journey here is like healers, we seem to attract bad karma or like not the best relationship with money. And I mean, I know personally why I don't have a good relationship with money. Like, I remember being a shaman, like in the old world, and having the community provide for me. So I know why I don't like money all that much, is I feel like it dishonors the way things used to be. But what's your insight as to why healers and empaths and all these like very enlightened, highly sensitive and loving individuals are drawing such negative patterns to them?
Well, I want to encourage you to contemplate the idea that there is no bad and there is no good.
Okay.
There is the way it is and the way you want it to be.
Okay,
And
but for the sake of the conversation, this is something my clients and other people in the community, that's our scale.
yeah,
Things that don't feel good are bad and things that feel good are good. And
right.
I know that a lot of healers are getting these, they're getting relationships that don't feel good, that are taking advantage of them and such, or they're in money situations where they're homeless, even though they've given their whole life. So that's
Right.
the only reason I'm giving, like, just trying to,
No,
put
yeah,
in
that
a little basket.
I hear you, and I'm not. I'm not. I don't say that to be critical, but it's valuable, because when we think of things as bad, we also think of them as being powerful.
Mm.
We make that connection, and that's not true. It's not a truthful connection. So historically, healers, shamans, religious people have been taken care of by the community, because that was the structure that could happen. That isn't the structure that can happen today. So I've had experiences, and I too struggled with my relationship to money. Today we have a new kind of church. It's called a podcast.
Mm.
There are many of them, and many people can come, and you can come in and out, and your commitment is to you and not to the leaders. And that's how religion was supposed to be. Religion is a way in which it's a pattern, it's a ritual to follow in order to cultivate a relationship with your creator, however you perceive it. And healers, if you have a lot of past life history of this old relationship with money, the bottom line is people need to pay in some way. There has to be an exchange of energy. I just have to, she has to say hello. There has
Hi,
to.
puppy.
Yes, I know.
Yes, hello.
She's trying to.
Do you have something important to share? Let's hear it. Let's hear it, puppy. This is for you too. You're on this podcast.
Exactly.
Welcome.
She's trying to explain to everyone that there has to be an exchange of energy. So if you are a person who feels uncomfortable to receive and more comfortable giving, it's because giving makes you feel powerful.
Interesting.
It puts you
Yeah,
in
okay.
a dominant submissive position, and the submissive is the one in power, not the dominant. So if I can give to you, and then there's an unspoken you owe me one, right? nobody, you may not say it out loud, but it's always there. So unless you negotiate, you are always negotiating. Anytime you do any kind of exchange with somebody in any way, you are negotiating, and either you're doing it up front or you're doing it on the back end or in a passive aggressive way. And so my goal and my relationship with money, and I think that what people are really starting to work with, is to recognize that it's important that you do my computer is falling off where it is, so I'm just trying to fix that really quick.
No worries.
That you start negotiating up front. I'm going to give you this, and this is what I want in return. If you choose to give someone something, then choose to do that and make sure that there are no strings attached for you, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically. But it's a choice, and it has to be, again, negotiated verbally, directly, upfront, formally or informally, right? But agreed upon by both people. That way, everybody can be accountable for what they are giving or not giving, and they can feel good about it. So healers, a lot of healers are spiritually open, and they're used to being really spiritually open. That's why they focus on the light and love, because it's lovely to be spiritually open for all that light and love, but then all of a sudden you get zapped from some, bottom feeder.
Yeah.
It's not nearly as fun. And then people, that's where people create fear. And there's this magnificent world, spiritual world of all vibrational beings. And everyone is a teacher at some point. One of the things that I talk about, one of the chapters in Master Your Inner World, it's been a long time since I've looked at this, but I want to, hold on.
It's okay. I'm demonstrating for whomever is watching.
Yes. Oh, good. Hilarious. Okay, there it is.
I don't know if I ever told you, but whoever does the illustrations for your books, like, they are magnificent. They are so I don't know how to describe it. I just, I really feel it. I feel it in my heart.
Yes. Well,
this woman, I so resonate with this lady. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly who I'm looking at. Demons can disappear as quickly as they come. Truth, that's the curandera. And the truth creates freedom. She's all about telling the truth and understanding the truth. And the truth, we have to be able to take this higher consciousness and bring it into the world where we live. And we do that. Truth is the mechanism. The heart and the truth is the mechanism through which we do that. So people have to, when you are discovering all these levels of yourself, and you are attracting these people who are also broken. You know what I mean? When I say broken, I'm a little resentful of that term, even though I just used it.
They are seeking.
Right. Well,
seeking wholeness.
They're hurt. They're bruised. They're battered human beings, mm-hmm. And on whatever level they're battered, and they are looking to create a fusion and a healing and an integration. And the way we do that with ourselves and with others is to set boundaries and honor and respect those boundaries. Anyway, so that is the process. People go from this ultimate, profound openness, and then they have to break it down into bits so that they can better focus and function and be deliberate and accountable in this human world. That's why we're all in a body doing this thing. We don't have to be in a body. There are many other places to be. But while you're here, there's a way that this functions that you must honor.
Yeah. So if there was one practice or one thing that these listeners could do to help them kind of I don't know, realign their karma, or to somehow bring attention, maybe even something they can do to bring attention to their own unhealthy karmic patterns or things that are no longer functioning for them in the way they wish to live. I'm trying to use better terminology that doesn't, give power to it, right? Negative power, whatever.
Yeah.
But what would you recommend for our listeners to do? What would you have them do to help themselves feel more empowered in their karmic relationships?
Well, one of the things that I talk about in Conquer Your Karmic Relationship, there's two things I want to talk about. In Conquer Your Karmic Relationships, I talk about radical acceptance, accepting yourself and others as they are, not as you want them to be, not trying to change them, but just saying to yourself, this is what it is right now. Because when you can accept things as they are, whether it's something within yourself or another person, you can then find out how to function in that place. And then you get another strategy. You do things differently. When we are in relationship to ourselves, the more we accept and have patience with ourselves, the more we then open up to the higher vibrational solutions we are seeking for those obstacles. While we are in relationship with other people, the more we accept them as they are, the more at ease they become with themselves and we become, and it creates this space where you can set a boundary, right? You're not trying to change who they are, but while they're with you, this is what you expect. I don't care. Like you said to me, hey, in my podcast, I want everybody to feel comfortable, so watch the F-bombs. And I said, that's wonderful, Raaja. I really appreciate that because I love an F-bomb. So now that I know that that's the boundary you set, I will be masterful and I will find a way to choose other words to make my impact.
And I deeply appreciate you respecting that boundary. That means so much to me and all of those parents out there that might be listening with their beautiful, beautiful children.
Exactly. So, but that's all it takes is like, now that I know you and now that you know me, you can let me know what you expect and I can honor that, or I can disagree and say, I don't want to do this, right? I mean, I have a choice in whatever I want to do. And when we offer people choices, more often than not, if there's other good things in the relationship, they're going to choose you, right? When you set a boundary, you give them the opportunity to choose you or not. And if they don't choose you, then you don't need them. Then they don't choose you, right? You don't need that. So I think that's, radical acceptance is the first thing. The second thing, which I think is really relevant right now, and this comes from the Master Your Inner World book, is it's a concept of literally stepping to the side. If you are standing, sitting, experiencing a moment that is deeply unpleasurable, devastating, overwhelming, you don't know what to do, change your movement. Stand up if you're sitting, sit down if you're standing, move to the side, move any direction, just a degree. And that is going to open a space, an energetic space for new information to come in that's going to help you better understand where you are, feel what you're experiencing, allowing it to move through, and then creating a space for a new idea or opportunity to be cultivated and to offer you relief. It's all you have to do. Move.
Yeah, that's so interesting that just, like you're in an argument with someone or a disagreement that gets a little heated, just standing up or, like scooting over in your chair or whatever it is, that physical movement can change even the interaction between you and the other person. That's profound. That's profound.
It is. And it's something simple. If you're at the grocery store, there's so many people that are so upset about what's going on in the pandemic, and they're taking all of their angst and frustration and fear and making it about wearing masks. And I say that we should all be wearing masks. We should all be respecting ourselves and each other by
Absolutely.
one another.
Absolutely.
But people are getting mad about it because it's the only thing that they can control, to choose to wear a mask or not choose to wear a mask. So, if you're in a public situation, just shift your position, and shifting your position will bring new light and energy to the environment, to the situation. I don't know if you've ever noticed that if you've had an argument with somebody, the more you dig into being right, the more you ground in to that fight that you're in, you lock onto that vibration, and it can only escalate. And so this idea of movement, it ungrounds what is difficult. And so it creates space for you to lock on to another thought or vibration that will bring relief, as opposed to more frustration or anger.
Well, kind of on the similar, I guess, shifting energy, I was actually taught by my Reiki masters that when I'm in a disagreement and that I should stop, close my eyes, and like take a moment and do some Reiki Hara breathing, and to shift the energy within myself. Yeah. And to hold, like to just set the intention that I am holding neutral space, that I'm not focusing on being right or wrong, and that really my only goal is to hold space so that we can understand each other.
Yes.
And I have found that when I remember to do that, because that's a struggle in and of itself. Right. But when I do remember, it completely diffuses the situation. And sometimes my partner doesn't even remember what we were arguing about. The minute I start to do Hara breathing, he's like, what were we talking about? I'm like, you know what? It doesn't really matter, does it?
Right. I've even experienced dangerous situations with criminal elements. And I say that a criminal element is often sometimes somebody who is, what's the word? A sociopath, who they're usually very single-minded, and they don't really have a lot of empathy or have any empathy, and they don't really care. And even setting a boundary, an energetic boundary in that way with that person, it unearths their focus, at least for a moment, so that you can move out of the situation.
I have had a similar thing, and I actually, in the after podcast part, I would love to share my story with you. But just to recap your two pieces of advice, right, is the first, when you are in an uncomfortable situation, it's to physically move your body to change the energy. Because, I know and I know that there is almost like a river of energy that lays over the top of our physical world. And that when we tap into different flows, we can actually change results. And so for the listeners out there that are, still at the beginning of their journey, that's how that actually works, is you end up actually falling into a new river or a new flow of direction, of energy flow. And the first one was, it was about setting boundaries.
So hilarious.
I totally just got into the etheric realm and lost my train of thought, because I'm gonna try what you just told me. I'm gonna get up and move real quick.
Exactly. Perfect.
All right, let's see. Radical
acceptance.
It went over there. That's where it was. I picked it up. Yes. Radical acceptance. That's right. So you have to.
Excellent. It works, people.
It totally works. So the radical acceptance is recognizing that who or what you're trying to change is just what it is, and accepting what it is. And once you truly, fully accept it down to its core, and accept yourself and understand that this is your problem, not really theirs, right? That's when you can set an internal boundary that while I am interacting with this situation, this person, this is my boundary. And you gave the example of keeping this podcast a clean podcast, which we have done a wonderful job. Let's give ourselves a round of applause. And that, you know, that's something I even struggle with. Like, I'm glad you brought that up, because that reminded me of some personal things that I have with my children. You know, I have one little girl who is just she's really struggling with the changes in our world. And sometimes I'm like, but I just have to accept that this is how she's handling it. And that, you know, breaking my stuff is just, I guess that's how she is right now. And I love her and I accept her. And it might take a couple of days for me to fully integrate that. But when I do, maybe I'll find a way to set a boundary that she doesn't break my things, because that would be cool.
Yeah. No, I have a new husky, and you know, this is hilarious. I was talking to somebody at 6:30 in the morning, and I was saying I'm about to take these rebel rousers out for a walk, talking about my dogs. And do you know, when I got home, my TV was broken. I had some really important pieces on an altar that the dog was chewing on when I got home. And then they also ate, we had cooked some bacon bits to put on a salad, and they ate all of them. They got up on the counter. And I was like, wow. And like, so when I saw the TV, I was just like, and then I was like, oh my God, I've never called them rebel rousers before, but I called them something and they became it. And I was like, okay, my two sweet, loving children who never bite anything ever except for what I give them. I'm very clear now about what I say, even in jest, you know, because
so is that a karmic relationship? By, like, you know, even in jest, right? Calling something or giving a title or a name to something, does that give it a certain energy that almost is a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way?
Well, I think that it sets, for me, I think that I make my living on my words. And my words are powerful, no matter who I speak them over. And I'd forgotten that, clearly. I clearly forgot that. So that was that cost me a TV and a couple other things. And I'm glad to have the reminder, for certain. But yeah, and that is a part of my karma. My words are powerful, and so I want to be clear about how I choose to use them. And
never to piss you off then, right?
Well, you know, it's really interesting that you say that too, because the other day somebody was really, really mad. They were very frustrated with some things going on, and so they decided to get mad at me. And so this woman called me a couple of names, and I was like, those are some very powerful words you chose. So let's reevaluate. Do you really think that I'm a this and a that? And I don't know. I didn't get mad. I didn't want to give it back to her, because I could see her anguish. And then she kind of, like, she threw that out there, and I gave it back to her, meaning she called me the names, and I said, are you sure that that's what you mean? That's essentially what I did. You called me a this and a this, and is that what you mean? And then she was like, no. Okay, good. So good. Let's sweep that. So let's move that out of the space. Now now let's talk. Anyway, but so we have the ability to master who we are, own how we feel, and not put it on others to do our bidding, to feel our pain or to feel our anguish, right? I mean, I think that, and all of this whole conversation we're having here is so relevant right now, because People are having a very difficult time because we as a planet are in complete and total upheaval. But remember, when things go in upheaval, they can reorganize in miraculous ways.
They can. They absolutely can.
Yeah.
And although I have so many more, situations that I've been in that totally apply to what we're talking about, I will save it for the after podcast, and maybe we'll bring this up again in a future episode. But
Yes.
I just want to thank you for taking the time to be on the show tonight and for sharing these pearls of wisdom that you have collected through your experience in this life and all other lifetimes that you recall, which seem from your book seem to be quite a few.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes.
People can reach out to me at TraceeDunsblazier.com. And you can also reach out to me at Tracee Dunsblazier Spiritual Empath on Facebook, or Go Tracee on Instagram, and Tracee Dunsblazier at Twitter. So those are all. So check me out, say hello, say where you saw me, and thank you very much. It's really a pleasure. You're terrific.
No, you're terrific. And I just want to also take a moment and let everyone know, this was something that Tracee had let me know before we started recording, is her books are on, you said it was Amazon right now, the Kindle? It Kindle?
You can get the books anywhere, but right now on Kindle, the ebooks, the Kindle version, they are all $5 and under.
That's a really, really good price. Now, I hope that it stays that way until the end of the month so that some of you can run off to your Kindles and grab them.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for joining Rainbows Rising, where we ascend together. Have a good week, you guys.